All right. Good to see everybody. Better than Zoom. Gave me flashbacks. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Bills have had a lot of success against the Dolphins in the past, especially limiting Tyreek Hill about half his career average in yardage. What have you learned by looking at them, and has Leslie Frazier given you any insights into what they do?
The Bills have played them really well, so give credit to their players, their coaching staff, their plans. When it comes down to like game planning and stuff, it's tough to like copy teams because there's so many like little details in how you're coaching stuff. So you get into if you're starting to copy folks, that's not where we want to be. So we're always looking at it like through the lens of what we do, and but they do a great job with they've done a great job with Tyreek. Leslie's been in the division. He's seen these guys a good bit, so we're leaning on him this week, for sure.
You know what that offense can do with Tua, but what changes without Tua for Miami?
Well, I mean, right now what information are you going to go off of? You're going to go off of preseason. You're going to go off of, the last game Skylar's started for those guys, probably the end of the last game. So again, you're early in the year. It's tough to make assumptions on what's going to change. So trying to just go off of trying to stick to our usual procedure as much as we can, and then what we think about Tyler or Skylar, go from there.
Coach against them a couple times in the last 2 years. What jumps out about the weapons they have and how Mike McDaniel schemes it up?
They do a phenomenal job. The stats back it up. Very well coached. Talk about we talk about like elegant simplicity. I mean, it's consistent for the quarterback. The angles in the run game, the speed on the field, how they're able to include everybody, all their playmakers and stuff. They play incredibly fast. They do a great job. So I'm a broken record, but like every week it's kind of, we have to have a sound game plan that is complementary. We got to really execute it because some of the things, the looks, are not consistent from week to week. So you kind of have to apply rules once the game kind of hits and be able to adjust on the fly. So we've got a challenge ahead of us.
What are the attributes that stand out about Skylar when you watch him play?
Well, he's willing to keep the ball a little bit longer than Tua. Tua's he was playing really, really fast, and the ball comes out pretty quickly on time, on target. He's got the same ability to do those things, but I'd say the ability also to, if you add the extended play to that element, that's something that you have to take into account, probably more so than with Tua. Again, it's a tough because it's not a huge sample size to see. And it's been a long time. And you're talking about a couple years of growth from when he started last in a playoff game, being in the system. So that's where we're at right now.
Miami is known for their explosive plays. Just in general as a defense, what needs to happen to limit some of those yards that they've been effective at?
Yeah, they do a great job of attacking on the perimeter with their perimeter blocking and the angles that they create, and then also, I don't think they get enough credit for like inside interior type runs, being able to cut defenses and yards after contact, things like that. And then if you're not on your P's and Q's in the play action game and the catch and run game, if you're not taking great angles, they'll make you pay because they're just it's a lot of type of catch and run types ideas and then run past you. And so your leverage and your angles and your pursuit need to be on point. Otherwise, they'll run past you, and we don't want that.
When you look at your own run game outside of maybe the second half against Denver, what have you seen in terms of the areas of concern maybe?
I think we gotta find our calling card. We got a lot of good stuff going on, but we're trying to find our sweet spot right now. So I think that's where we're at. I think we have a pretty good plan started right now during the week, and excited to see us go do it today in practice.
Does their defense look like a carbon copy of what you're doing with?
No, it's not a carbon copy. It's this is the Miami Dolphins defense, led by Anthony Weaver. I think they're doing a really great job. a lot of respect for those guys and the coaches on that staff, and then obviously they got some really good players too. So there's a lot of concepts that you see that are similar to what we do and things that we've installed here, but no, it's their defense.
Is Ken going to practice this week?
We'll see.
Coach, it feels like the run defense, the run offense for the Patriots versus the run offense for the Dolphins feels different in terms of where they're attacking you, and a lot more in the edges for the Dolphins. How do you coach differently? How do you defend those types of offenses differently? And what positions come into more focus to defend them?
Well, I think you kind of answered it based off your question, but it's an inside-out game probably more against the Patriots where, if you're not protected on the edges and in the alley, even though they do a great job, talking about Miami, on downhill runs, there's a lot of space out there, so you gotta be on, again, who's force, who's in the alley, who's inside out, how you're playing, how your leverage blocks. I mean, that's a huge point of emphasis, I would say. New England's probably like, hey, we know exactly who's probably going to block us on this snap. How do you play that block? It's more of a person on person. Miami does a good job of bluffing off, like messing with your edges, bluffing off the, bluff kickouts, bluff cracks. So, they do a really good job of putting your edge guys in stress. So, we have to do a great job throughout the week of simulating those looks for our guys so they can play those blocks the right way, and then we're fitting it right around those guys.
How is Uchenna Nwosu doing?
He's doing well. He's progressing well.
Jerome Baker and Boye Mafe updates?
No updates.
How was having the last couple of games with the number of plays and the challenges with communication help when you face an offense like this where you're going to have to make those adjustments and be communicating?
Yeah, well, you're at home, so you can't be, speaking in paragraphs out there. You got to be quick. You have to play with anticipation off the movement. Again, they do a great job. Like, you're not going to see the same pictures from week to week that you would on a normal offense. So they're going to dress it up. They're going to be, and it's all through in the lens of how do you create the angles, how do you set up the blocks, which they do as good a job as anybody in the league. And so you have to play with anticipation. Your calls can't be, crazy complicated. So we have to do as coaches, we have to help our guys out so they can go play fast.
What have you seen from Charles Cross 2 games in? I know he was a guy you talked about a lot during camp, how well he was doing, but now that...
Yeah, it's a continuation of what we've seen in camp. I thought Charles has played 2 really good games. Thought he played really well this past game. Guy we're going to be leaning on moving forward. He's doing a tremendous job.
When will you start to trust the trends or the numbers that you're seeing? Like, how many games into the season do you start putting stock into some of those things?
Yeah, it's a great question. Not sure. It's kind of like the preponderance of what they're giving you and then how it feels, like kind of matching the numbers with the eye test. In some situations, you might be more willing to lean in on those things, whereas some where you say, hey, it's probably not strong enough yet. Let's just kind of operate, standard procedure right now, and then we'll kind of adjust moving forward. But 3 weeks in is probably too early. You start to get into game 4 and 5, and now I think those things will become a little bit more pronounced.
How have you seen Conor Williams sort of keep progressing from week to week as he's gotten into this?
Yeah, I thought he played well for what we asked him to do and how fast he ramped up. I thought, if you ask him, he's probably frustrated a little bit with how he played the first game. I thought it was pretty dang good. And then I thought you saw a big jump in the second game. So if we can stay on that trend, we'll be cooking.
What are you seeing from your front three in Reed, Hankins, and Williams, and also, I guess, for Brian Murphy? And I just mean the way that they're working as a team, getting so many quarterback hits.
Yeah.
What are you seeing there?
Well, we ask a lot of those guys on early downs to, we're not a big penetrating front. So, they have to play blocks. They have to stay square. They have to set up the second level for success. And then when we're able to take double teams off, that's when they make their hay on early down. So that's an unselfish job. And those guys they're doing a great job. I know the run stats right now don't really set it up, but if you can't put it on those guys, I think they're doing a great job. And in order for them to do that, that creates passing situations. All the things that you've been asking throughout the offseason about how it gels, understanding how you work together, who kind of has the priority rush in certain situations, who's kind of the 2-gap guy in the rush. They've really attacked it mentally so they can go play fast and then what happens is you end up playing off one another, and that takes takes time, takes chemistry, takes reps, and they've put in the work. So I think you're seeing the dividends of that.
Are they playing as fast as, I know you're going to say that each week they got to get better, but are they
If I said
playing-
that, that'd be, yeah. Go ahead.
stacking plays, if you will.
Yeah.
But what would you say about their speed, just in terms of how fast they're playing? Is this where you would expect them to be as you progress towards the week 18?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, I think like a fair assumption on that question is like, okay, well, what would the guys say if you asked them that same question? And I would say they would say they're not there yet. You know, I think there's definitely room for improvement, but we're on the right track. I mean, the guys they're doing a great job. Each game plan is going to be different. You know, I don't know. Again, I'm not breaking down the numbers of what we called and when this past game, but we're going to try to do structurally on defense whatever it takes to win the game. It's not trying to see how sweet you are, just trying to be as productive as you possibly can. The guys did a great job last game closing it out.
Like, just how important is that when you're building a defense to get that unselfish play, just like you're talking about?
It's absolute necessity. I mean, if it's kind of this all 11 rush mentality that we have to have. It's not a built around one particular player, kind of everybody eats type of an idea. And the guys, again, the players know, they just know when it's right and when it's not right. But if you can help explain to them how it all sets up, rush and coverage, how we can deny the ball, you know, in the second level of the defense, make the quarterback get to his second or third hitch. Now the rush comes alive, how all 11 works together. Hey, if they win their rush immediately, that helps the back end with like the timing of the play. So there's a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily think like a corner or a linebacker would have to do with like influencing the pass rush or disguise. But it does. It's all a function of time and trying to make the quarterback play just a hair slower and let the rush come alive.
Coach, you mentioned wisdom of the crowds, and you've also talked about process and results. Can you talk about like formative parts of how you've made your decision-making process over the years?
Man, I feel like I would have to like think about that to give you a great answer. I just a tribute to the great people that I've been around. I mean, John Harbaugh's of the world, Jim Harbaugh's, other great coaches that you think about. I mean, all the people behind the scenes in Baltimore that I got to work with, all the people here that we get to work with. I mean, like, just the mentality, the way that John's mentality of how you want to approach things, you know, kind of Jody setting the whole vision of how we want to operate as an organization. I think that's what was really appealing at the initial stages is like, hey, we have alignment on how we want to solve problems and how we want to operate and try to kind of be at the forefront of things. So, also, you're looking at a guy that like, I couldn't do it physically. So it's like, how do you create processes and strategies that put your team in the best situation to win? And that's kind of been my mentality my whole career.
Like, what are you seeing out of Christian Haynes in the little bit he's played the first two games, and where has he made the biggest strides since when he first got here for you?
Well, I think he's just steadily improving. The mentality's right. Some of the technique stuff isn't right now, and that'll get cleaned up. So he's a guy that we're going to be counting on moving forward, and just keep hammering away, man. Like, the opportunities are going to be there. Take advantage of them when they are. They're not going to be as many as he probably wants, but he'll create those by going out there and producing.
2 weeks. Rotating him and Anthony, something that you consider to be sustainable throughout a whole season?
Probably not.
2 weeks.
But yeah, it's just I'm sorry, John, but like, just that's what it's going to take for us to play the best, and we'll do it. But you want continuity or O-line. Right now, we're not in the ideal spot, but we feel like that's the best thing for us.
Sorry. 2 weeks ago, Tyler leads the team in receiving. The next game, he has 2 catches, and DK and Jackson do their thing. What does that do for an offense when it's not one guy that you're focused on, but it's a bunch of different
Yeah, I'm kind of diverted on the answer here, but I thought Tyler Lockett played a tremendous game. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, he's coming alive late in critical situations. He drew 2 DPI penalties down the field that were huge for us, getting us in positive territory in overtime, and the 3rd and 5 in the red zone that created, essentially, as a 4-point play. And then there's a lot of just like, there's so many nuances to his game that's just some really, really high-powered. And he's creating a lot of things for us out there, even though I didn't know his catch stat line. But I felt like I left after watching the tape. I said, man, this guy really made a difference for us. And then just having multiple guys that you can go to, it just shows you, hey, like Geno has confidence going with the ball wherever kind of the coverage dictates, and allows him not have to force it. And there's always good options out there.
Yeah, how's George Fant doing?
He's doing well. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do today. He did walk through. We'll see. I'm not sure how many reps he's going to get during practice and how it evolves over the week, but he's going well.
How do you feel about your depth in nose tackle, Mike?
I think it's actually pretty good. I mean, Hank's right there right now, but you got multiple guys on the roster that can play the A gap. Jay Reed did it last year. Byron Murphy's an underrated nose. Cam Young right now is a guy that's on PUP, but as he becomes healthier, maybe down the line could provide some depth as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right. Thank you.